Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Find us on Facebook.com/SuperFunPodcast, Twitter.com/SuperFunPodcast, Patreon.com/SuperFunPodcast, Instagram at SuperFunPodcastGo, iTunes at Superfun Game Review Podcast Go. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go! Tonight, we are going to be reviewing Middle-earth Shadow of War. Shadow of War. Agreed on my game. Real quick, before we get into the introductions, I just want to remind everybody that we currently have a contest on our Facebook page. It's to win a $100 gift card to GameStop. Woo. What we're looking for there is we're looking for iTunes reviews. We need to get a minimum of 100 iTunes reviews total on our review page for our podcast. Once you submit one, just go ahead and shoot us an email and share the contest with all of your friends on Facebook, and we'll be picking a winner. So just...
We haven't announced the date when we're ending the contest yet.
Yeah.
This is going to kind of range for a little bit, just until we get that 100 mark.
Okay, yeah.
Do it.
But you got an opportunity to just win free stuff.
So 100 for 100.
Yeah,
do it.
100 for 100.
100 for 100.
Yeah.
Oh,
Come on, do it
that's
now.
a good contest name, 100 for 100.
100 for 100. That said, we also have a poll up on our Facebook to vote on our next game for episode 35.
I believe that is correct.
All right, episode 35. So check that out. If you follow any of us individually as well, we all have shared it at this point. We'll probably be sharing it again. Harry, when does that poll go down?
We're looking at like the first couple weeks of January is when it's
Okay.
coming down, because to prepare for episode 35, we do have to start playing the game in the near future, so we are trying to get those out as soon as possible.
So you got a little over a month.
Yes,
Right.
but I mean,
There
we
you
could
go.
pull it down sooner rather than later if we hit that 40 mark that we're taking. We're only taking the first 40 votes for this poll. I guess the last thing we should mention before we really dive in tonight, one of our Patreon donors, we are dedicating this episode to Miss Shelby Taylor.
Thank you, Miss Shelby.
Thank you for your continued
Patronage.
patronage.
Patronousness.
But thank you, Shelby.
No, thank you.
Really
It does
do
mean a
appreciate
lot
it.
to us
Yeah.
at the podcast that somebody out there wants to support the show.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
But no, thank you very much, Shelby, and we look forward to giving you more bonus content in the future.
I'm going to be our host tonight.
Oh.
Douche. You can't look, Ralph. You can't ruin that. You can't ruin Harry's intro. All right, to my left, I have Harry.
Douche.
Sitting across from me, I have Mr. Steve.
You will now obey.
And to my right, I have the best troll in the world, Ralph.
Ralph now obeys.
He now obeys.
I'm going to keep that as my bodyguard.
All right, let's kick off initial wow. All right.
Modo.
For Mordor.
Modador.
All right.
Ralph became deranged.
Clark is broken.
Oh.
All right, so initial impressions.
I had no idea what to expect of this game. I knew this was the second game within a series. I had no idea. Honestly, I saw the very first Lord of the Rings. I know it's not Lord of the Rings game, but it's still the same storyline. I saw the first movie. That was pretty much it. So I'm just but I told you, get your dick out of your mouth. Sure, you know what? It fucking works. Why the hell not?
You only saw Fellowship?
Yeah.
I mean, Fellowship is fantastic, but all right.
I've only seen Return of the King.
Oh, all right. See,
No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. No, I saw like 2 of them with you in the fucking theater,
well,
Harry.
within like my spectrum of what I actually follow and look at, not that spectrum. So I really didn't have much to go off of. I remember bits and pieces of kind of what the game talked about, getting into it a bit, but the way that it was described to me by, because this was your game, Clark, right?
Yes, it was.
It was basically Lord of the Rings / Assassin's Creed, but better. And I think that description was pretty accurate.
That's how I pitched the game.
And that was enough to get me in, and there's so much more of the game that I need to play now. I need to go back. I do.
Ralph, Harry, what do you got?
Okay, Ralph. Ladies first.
The night is young. Okay.
And you are not. Season 2 burn.
I did not play Shadow of Mordor. I heard it was good. To be honest, when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I'm a fan of the movies. I actually stayed away for a long time, and this game, like, I fell like completely into the Middle-earth lore and like Tolkien like head first. Like for a little bit I was like, oh, I'll just play the game, it'll be okay, and then I was like, nope. I was on YouTube for like 8 hours looking at the backstory and lore and like just absorbing everything and getting completely reinvested in Lord of the Rings. But anyway, I didn't play Shadow of Mordor. I heard it was good. Believe it made some best game of the year awards. Yeah, for different channels, different
Yeah,
different
a
people.
few
Like,
outlets rated it as one of the best of the year.
Right. I actually didn't know that this one was on its way until, I started to see promotional material for it. I didn't realize it was in development. And starting out, I have to admit the Assassin's Creed thing was there, even to the point of where Shelby and Dana commented they thought I was playing Assassin's Creed just because I guess the way I was climbing and lurking around and crouching and doing stealth. I haven't played the Arkham games very, very much, but I believe a lot of the way the combat works once you're out of stealth is a lot like that. But right out of the gate, I enjoyed it. I kept getting distracted, and we'll get into when it comes to the main story for the game. Like just doing. There's so much to do, so many different areas and everything. Really enjoyed it right out of the gate.
Cool. Boss. Initial impression. Didn't really hear anything about this game. I guess it was just off my radar. I didn't even know about Shadow of Mordor's existence until I heard about this game. So a couple days before I picked this title up, I did watch a couple trailers online about the whole, you can go down this pathway if you make this decision, and this can cause this. They had a bunch of trailers that alluded to all the decision-making that you make in the game, which I thought, honestly, was a little bit misleading. I thought it was going to be more focused on that rather than the current game style that it currently is. Huge fan of the Lord of the Rings series. I don't think The Hobbit is up to par with the original Lord of the Rings, but I do really enjoy all the lore in Tolkien's background. I don't think The Hobbit is awful. It's just not the same level as Lord of the Rings. But I think Lord of the Rings, hands down, is amazing. I have played a lot of Lord of the Rings video games.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm actually kind of shocked because I remember playing like fucking The Third Age with you.
Yeah,
and shit like
on
that.
GameCube.
Yeah,
that
dude,
game is
like,
amazing.
But
Really?
that's like such an underrated Lord of the Rings game that like nobody fucking gave the time of day. It's shocking to me that you didn't know about Shadow of Mordor.
Did you play Two Towers and Return of the King? 'Cause
Yes.
I played those two for the
I
Cube.
actually played Fellowship of the Ring on PlayStation 2 as well. It's not like the other two.
No?
It's a little. It's more like an action game that you're following through the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Okay.
Where the Return of the King and Two Towers have like this character leveling up system and progression.
RPG-ish
Yeah,
type of game.
a little bit.
Gotcha.
The Fellowship was a little less of that.
okay.
It was more of an action game. You're just playing through the scenes, but like the entire game. There's none of those cuts in between. It's very fluid. Like you're playing almost every scene with that. Not as good. I don't.
A little more
recommend it.
linear, just like on a straight line. Here you are. You're just going to go do this.
Exactly. I'm sure I've played other Tolkien games outside of those, but I think it's been quite some time since I've gotten into any games in the franchise. Yeah, it was an interesting playthrough, and I will say, going into this, no, I'm just saying, I think there's some really good highs in this game, but I think there's some really low lows as well.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Well, Clark, what made you pick this game?
So I was actually a really big fan of the first one.
Shadow of Mordor?
Yes, Shadow of Mordor. Not necessarily of the actual like storyline or anything that was going on, to me, the main thing was the story that the game creates itself, and I thought that would be a very interesting topic for us to discuss in general. But like
All right.
that fucking Nemesis system is just a storyline generator for you, because no one's going to have the same experience as you. No one's going to be battling the same people, having the same people on your side. Like, I think
the same
that
time from the same person over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that shit's incredible. And like, I thought it'd be a great topic for us to discuss. I had bought Shadow of War. I like Target had a fucking buy two get one deal, and I had it sitting, and I was like, the podcast is going to start back up. I'm not going to have time to fucking play this game. And then we decided to vote, and I was like, this would be perfect. Like, this will be a perfect one.
And here we are.
And here we are. And here we are about to review a game that I think is really good. Is really, really good. So, let's move on into development.
Game development.
So when I was doing research for this, it didn't seem like anything was super remarkable, except for the fact that they were very hush-hush about bringing this game out again. The first one like got all this critical acclaim and stuff, but they weren't immediately like, "Cool, we're making a sequel, guys." It kind of like laid dormant for a while, and everyone was like, "Are they gonna make another one?" It was really good. Like I'd love to see what they're gonna do to expand it, and then they started like releasing information about it, and everyone got really fucking hyped up about it. I mean, that's really all I had for development. I know it was like a lot of like closed doors. It's a WB game.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers, typically, they've been on fire with making quality games.
Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat, the Arkham games,
I was going to say the Arkham,
and this have been their three big ones. Yeah, and Injustice.
I think that's really cool, the fact that they already put out the Shadow of Mordor, and then it just kind of sat, and they're like, you know what? It's picking up some buzz, and we could do something with it. It's not like they went in thinking, oh, we're going to have 1, 2, and 3, or we need to stretch this out. It's like they'll put everything into one game. Hey, that did really good. Let's do it again and put a little bit more into it. And I don't know. Have you played Shadow of Mordor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I played Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
That's what got me into.
So in like comparison, I know we're in development, but I mean, at least with the development, I guess that's a good spot for it. Like, how do you feel like how polished was Mordor compared to War?
War was a lot more polished.
Yeah.
I only ran into like 1 or 2 bugs in this one that like were really like breaking. I had to restart my system once, but like other than that, like the first one, it got a little boring, and like they didn't expand. It was very just
Gotcha.
It was like it's this one place. It's kind of dark. Oh, here's like a snow area instead of an entire like here's an entire snow fucking map,
An
and, like,
entire
the lava
region.
map, and then the fucking deep forest and shit like that. Like,
So they got a lot more in depth on the second one, so they were able to pick up.
They really listened to people when they were being criticized.
Yeah.
And that's something that they've done really well, WB in general. Like, everyone like complained about when Batman came out, and this is just like a general development thing because WB has been known to actually ship broken games. That's another thing that they've floundered on a lot, is they ship broken games sometimes.
Better than salmoning something.
Right. So
Double fish, bitch.
uh
He said flounder. It's a fish. So shut up, Ralph.
No, it went over my head.
Batman Arkham Knight shipped broken for PC.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
They said only about 10% of people that bought that game could even play it.
Holy shit.
That's how broken it was.
Damn.
They ended up taking it off the shelves and re-releasing it and giving everyone that had initially bought it like a fucking free one of the DLCs. They're a company that does like the DLC thing. They typically don't do tons of microtransactions. They've been starting to creep into that realm as well. This game has them later on. We'll get into that.
We'll get to that.
But I really think they put a lot more time and effort into this one than they did the first one, which the first one seemed like it was a whim, and they were like, let's try it.
Yeah.
And now they figured out, like, cool, we already have this system in place. We have this engine of the Nemesis system as well, and we're just going to, like, really go hard with them.
Gotcha. Well, when did this game come out anyway?
Oh, this is
14?
October 10th, 2017.
Oh wow!
oh.
So it's
brand fucking new.
brand. Oh okay.
Yeah, no, this is only a month old.
Wow. All right. I was
I
curious
thought you meant Mordor, because Mordor's been out since 2014, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mordor's 2014.
because I remember at least like reading around or looking at stuff that's been out for like a few years by this point. I just never actually really checked to see when this game came out. So for that.
So the thing is, that went with almost a year without them saying anything about a sequel at all.
Good for them. Yeah, keep that shit secret. You don't need to hype it up. Just come out with something good.
So here, let me breeze through a couple bullet points here real quick.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So I know you mentioned it was published by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment.
Good old WB.
It was developed by Monolith Productions.
Now that you say that, I seem to remember when you boot the game, there's like a page with like 8 different company logos on it.
Well, that's like any game that you load up these days. There's like, it goes through like 5 or 6 different ones. Oh, here's who it's published by. Oh, here's who it's developed
That's
by.
true,
Oh,
that's true.
here's what the engine is run off
I
of.
feel as like little small firms, there's more hands in the pot when it comes to any single title anymore.
Yeah.
It's not just like, boom, brand name. It's like brand name, because they just, I don't know, different, I guess, fields of expertise had to get pulled in
Yeah,
to complete a segment of the game.
It's
Right.
more of a collective of companies who are actually not publishing, but putting these games together rather than, oh, here's just this one big company. They did everything. So now it's like, you know what? All right, we may not be strong in this area, so we'll pull something from Havoc. We'll pull something from them, and then we'll just make this beautiful mesh of a game that's in-depth and detail that one company by itself might not be able to do.
All right, so some of the other stuff, I didn't get too into details. I didn't actually research into this. I know they were criticized for their microtransactions. I don't know how in-depth that is. I don't know, just saying off of our talk last week where we discussed the new Star Wars game, I think
The timing
there's a little bit of a
for it-
cloud over microtransactions right
yeah,
now.
the timing for it, especially with the whole EA blow up.
Something that they actually did catch a lot of flack for, though. The executive producer of this game, Michael Forgy, I think is...
Is this going to be a Pheasanton?
No, it's
Let
Michael
him say it right the first time.
Michael Forgy.
Michael Forgy?
He died.
Oh.
What they did, they made a DLC. Well, it was called Forthog Orc Slayer. They were charging $350 for it. I think it was the proceeds of it were supposed to go to the family.
Oh, I see.
Oh, wow, that's something.
They caught a lot of flack for it because a lot of people were like, "Oh, they're making money off of this guy's death."
That's a little
I know, it's a
fucked up
little.
there.
Well, anyway, they did do a full refund of it, and they made it just like a free DLC after they caught that flack.
Sorry.
I don't know. If it was something like that where like the actual
I mean, they could have
full
been making money. Maybe they
proceeds-
didn't do the full proceeds. I mean,
Yeah.
who really follows up on that? You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it's not like everything comes into checks and balances, but if that's a company where it's, people are just trying to do something nice for the family of someone that they worked with this project on and cared about, then I don't know. It's people need to calm the fuck down a little bit. That's
So-
just me, but not knowing the full story.
Real quick, I just wanted to touch on some of the other games that Monolith has done. They did the Matrix Online. They did the first Fear game, which I think you and I played through.
No, I played that with
Fear
solo.
2?
You did Fear 3 with me.
Yeah, so there's Fear, Condemned, Criminal Origins, which was one of the first games on Xbox 360. Condemned 2, Bloodshot, Fear 2, Gotham City Imposters. They did Guardians of Middle-earth. That was I knew they did another Lord of the Rings game. They did the RTS, or the MOBA Guardians of Middle-earth.
Oh, okay.
There's also been some really good RTSs for Middle-earth. I used to play one. I forget which one it was. It was something Middle-earth, but it wasn't Guardians. And then they did, Shadow of Mordor in this. I just wanted to touch on that real
That's
quick.
fine. I don't think I've really played any of those other games, so that's probably why I haven't seen Monolith pop up before.
I thought we played the Fear that they had produced. I knew they did one of the Fears. All right, let's move into story.
Story.
So, I really don't think there's any story at all to this game.
Listen, I know you're trying to be sarcastic, but I think the first 3/4 of this game, the story is extremely lackluster.
Yeah, I
Save the city.
It does. I know I was being kind of sarcastic, but it all just seemed kind of forced.
It was very bland story until you got the end of the game.
I really didn't get into it until how many dozens of hours. Well, not dozens, but it would have been dozens if it wasn't just focused on like the main mission. I felt like there could have been a lot more development into the story itself instead of, I'm going to go save a city. Oh, look, there's a king. Oh, look, there's a daughter. Oh, we're under siege with the attack. It's just, it just really didn't.
You think it's tired?
I don't know the best word to really describe it, but it almost feels like most of the game was just build up and they could have done more with it. I'm a little disappointed for the fact that it's coming from this kind of series that there wasn't more. I guess I don't have anything else to really like put it into better words. I wish there was more to it. A little more
I think
depth.
part of it was they were tiptoeing because they can't mess with the storyline of the Hobbit and the storyline of the Lord of the Rings, and
Yeah.
it was
Right.
taking place in between those two.
Would you say it was
trilogies.
in the Middle Earth?
Yes.
Oh.
So I think in this
Season
case they had to watch the boundaries on their limitations, I guess, and they
I
just
could understand
I think
that.
they
For sure.
tiptoed a little too much, personally.
I will say that with the ending of the game, they made a very definitive statement towards Lord of the Rings. There's one thing I really want to point out about the main story, is there's 5 actual main quest lines that are all drastically different, and I think that takes away from the overall story in
little
general. Because you have like the Gondor stuff, which is all humans. It's really fucking dry. It's really been there, done that, and that's like nothing. Then you have the Spider Ladies stuff, right?
Shelob.
You have the Shelob stuff, which is actually more interesting because you learn more about Talion himself. And then you have the
elf assassin.
Yes.
the elf assassin, which is again,
Eltariel?
yeah, I
Close
think,
enough.
yeah, insert Elvin Tolkien name, like
Insert elves here.
So, and her storyline is very interesting because I really think the two main that super tie into the actual like ending of the game is the Shelob.
Shelob.
I think Shelob's storyline
Kebab.
and the Elven Assassin's storyline. I think those are the main 2 storylines that really get you to the end of the game, but they force so much of the Gondor shit right at the beginning that it's really boring.
Okay, yeah.
Because most of that stuff is handled in Act 1.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of it, and then you clear pretty much. You can 100% that like a little bit into Act 2.
Yes, exactly. And I think to me that proves that that's not the main thing there. Yeah, and then the other 2 parts are my actual favorite parts. I don't necessarily like the main storyline up until you get to the point where, you know, you have all of these things 100%ed and you start actually progressing.
Yeah.
Because I think it's all just filler to get to that point to begin with, like you said.
Agreed.
But the forest goddess Bjork and the
Bjork.
she is
my
Bjork.
God.
She is fucking Bjork.
Oh, wow.
But when I first heard the accent, I'm not gonna lie. The first thing I thought of was Swisgar from fucking Metalocalypse.
Dude, yes.
I am the spirits forest and that comes through. Looks, I'm giants and screens and look at my drakes.
But it's a deep female voice like fucking Bjork's.
It is a voice.
And it just
you're not
like,
lying.
I was
You're
just
not
like I
wrong.
was like, holy shit, that's fucking Bjork. Because she's like
eyelids swim with little fish and
Is that what you mean by
yeah,
Bjork,
like the way
singer?
Yes,
Yeah.
Bjork.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Who the fuck else could I mean by
I don't
fucking
know.
Bjork?
I just wanted to make sure we were on the
Wait,
same page.
you don't mean the guy that lives 2 doors down
Yes,
from
the
here?
guy. Yep.
Hello, I am
my
Bjork.
neighbor. My neighbor Bjork.
I am Bjork.
Neighbor
No,
Bjork.
no,
Come
this
time
is
I
not
go
Bjork.
to
cheese.
pay your rent.
No, she absolutely reminded me of Bjork.
You're not wrong.
I see it now, but I didn't. when I
Also,
played it.
I really, really, really liked the Bruise. The
Bruz?
Bruise.
I like Bruise.
I called him
I like
Braz
Bruise.
the whole time just because, hello, no, I'm here. Nope, this isn't the way to do it. No,
I
when you
was
go do
so ready before the betrayal in his storyline. I was so ready to be like, yeah, dude, you're my number 1. I'm going to make you my bodyguard. We're going to fucking rule this goddamn
that. I
place
know.
together.
He makes
And
you
just
feel like
betrays you.
your best friend.
And you
It's
know
like,
what?
You know what? It's it's not a choose your own ending, which really bothers me.
Yes.
Because you never get to choose him to be the king of the castle. They don't even give you that option.
King of the castle. King of the
You totally can actually.
No, you can't. They bypass that whole thing because there was the one.
Yeah, so then what you do is you fucking complete the end of that fucking storyline, and you fucking take him again, and then you promote him to the Overlord.
Oh well.
Since we're talking
Boom!
about
That's your choose your own adventure, bitch.
bros.
about not being able to choose your ending. Did anybody else pick up on that that Talion is voiced by Troy Baker?
Who?
Troy Baker fucking voice acts everybody. What's your
you're
point?
right. Well, my point is that I made a couple
Oh,
of jokes.
because
about-
it's fucking Joel. Because it's fucking Joel from Last of Us.
I guess you didn't see any of those videos I posted. It was like, oh, I'm gonna go find Ellie in Argo Morgoth.
Oh, I'm gonna go find
I'm going to check on Ellie.
Adriel in fucking the Fireflies.
After I fuck
Bear.
Shelob, I'm gonna go check on Ellie.
I missed
Okay,
that.
so the one thing I did like, and this is when they got beyond the tiptoeing of the
Beyond
game.
the tips.
They built on a Isildur's story.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
they
yeah,
just show him getting shot with arrows in Lord of the Rings and falling into a river, and that's last you hear of him.
Yeah.
But because he had the ring on, he turned into a wraith. And he becomes like...
Well, he was given the ring. He gets pulled out of the water, and they
It's a different ring.
slip a ring onto him.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But I mean, they built
It
on that
becomes an
story.
Nazgul.
It didn't just end with him dying in the river.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Essentially.
liked. So one of my I completely agree, and I'll let you get back to your point. I just wanted to say like the Nazgul were something that it was always really interesting to me, and I wanted to know more about them. I'm so glad they explored a little more, and you got to see more of like how the fuck did these people become these like just ring
exactly.
rings? Like
Helm Hammerhand, I thought was really interesting.
Yes.
when they
Oh.
explored his.
yeah, and
He's
he's
the
just
one that
like,
killed his daughter, right?
Yeah,
Just in the fury of rage.
Yep. And well, he didn't mean to. She stepped in front of her
Yeah.
husband or whatever,
Yeah.
and he just like butchered her.
They
and
were
then-
they were all dark stories.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But that's the power of the rings,
Yeah.
and that's like Nibelheim or whatever the fuck that dude's name is.
Nibelheimer.
Nibelheim?
Cheesebeard. I don't know what the fuck.
Cheesebeard. Wait, who are we talking about?
The elf spirit that is with Talion.
Oh, what did I call him?
Cheese
before?
board.
Cheese board.
Cheese board.
Celebread board.
Celebrate
Breadboard.
Yeah,
That's
bread
it. Celebrate
board.
board. That's
bread,
it.
bread
General
board.
bread board.
I just thought cheese and bread. That's
General
good.
bread board.
General bread board.
Palantir is all that matters.
Well,
The Palantir.
Okay, so let's
You must not trust a lab.
let's transition into him real quick.
Oh.
I don't want to transition.
Can he
into a
transition
dude.
out of us?
I'm just
and-
saying, I don't think there's a ton to talk about with him.
Get out of here, Bruce.
I think he's pretty flat character, but I do think he's...
What do you mean he's a flat character?
I
He
think
made all the fucking rings.
And he's a
Well,
ghost.
well, hold on.
Yeah, but I think he is a boring...
Same note. Like the end of every mission, he like pops out and he's like, "Well, we really can't trust so and so, and let's make sure we go to Mordor."
Yeah,
Nah,
he's
fucking, I'm gonna do this
obviously-
anyway.
like-
he's obviously manipulating Talion
Yes.
the entire time.
Yes.
And I think he's a generally evil character.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I wasn't even realizing that until near the end of the game. I knew he was
when
kinda
they
on
have the
dark-
reveal that he's
Well,
an
yes.
evil character.
Yeah, but I mean, like
No.
even so, he had darker motives that maybe I should have picked up throughout the game.
Yeah,
like,
right around the time there was a twist. I knew
We're
that
about
he
the
was
time
bad.
where he reveals to be a douchebag.
I'm kidding. all right.
But no, there's a
I
lot
know
of
what you
corruption
mean.
thing. Like there's a couple moments in the game where you're either like, should I make him obey or should I just like pollute his mind? And he's the one about all just like, no, we need to ruin him to set an example.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, is that moral to do such a thing? And that-
respect strength.
But I mean, he even like it was pretty prevalent end of Act 1 through some of Act 2, where you're looking for Idril, and well, we need to go find her. She might be dead anyway. What's the basically saying what's the point?
fucking point?
the
As he's sitting there
fucking
smoking
point?
a fucking Newport 100. What's the fucking point?
Listen, darling, she's probably already dead. You don't need to go for it. Yeah, let's just go get my ring and we'll be okay.
Back
Let's
in
go-
my day, 2,000 years ago,
Appar-
I made a bunch of rings and everybody loved them. It was great.
You
Apparently,
go get one at the corner store.
apparently, breadboard is a lady named Sandy who's
Please,
73
please,
years
General
old.
Breadboard.
General Breadboard is a 73-year-old woman from Queens, New York named Sandra. Listen, no, you don't need to do that. It's going to be
Dr. Girlfriend.
Yeah, it's Dr. Girlfriend.
Dr. Girlfriend.
Oh, Pookums! Can't we just
Don't worry about it. No, we can't do that.
Operation Get Back Dr. Girlfriend?
It's fucking Putty
Come
from
back
Seinfeld.
to me.
Did anybody get all the Shelob items to
No.
unlock? I'll just dive in.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's
really
it's
didn't
actually
have time for that.
one of the more interesting moments of the game for me personally.
It was
it's like
pretty
a video
cool to
you can
see
watch?
the flashbacks.
Is that?
Yeah, so all the little fragments that you put together, you've done a
Yeah.
couple of them where you spin the thing.
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
back-
Yeah.
No, I didn't grab any of the fucking Shelob
Really?
stuff.
Really?
Dude, I was streamlining this game
It's
pretty hard.
pretty much like a shattered mirror, and you have to rotate it until you make the picture come into
It's an Assassin's Creed
Assassin's Creed, where you have
Yeah,
to,
there's all the fucking things are Assassin's
yeah,
Creed
and then
things.
you get that little bit of a clip, and then it's just and you're done. It's like a bris. A little
This was
clip.
WB's Assassin's Creed.
Pretty much.
Don't get it twisted.
Pretty much.
Oh shit! It's all twisted.
So
It's
what's
better though.
what's Shelob's story?
Personally, I think it's better. It's a more cohesive story than Assassin's Creed
Agreed.
anyway.
So you'd all know Shelob the spider from Lord of the Rings and everything like that.
Yep.
I mean, she's even portrayed
Who?
as the spider.
Is that a thing? Because for the story, I was very curious to know how much of this was in actual Tolkien text. Because I've never read the Silmarillion, and I know
I haven't. I've never read it as well.
Right. And there's a lot in the appendices. So I wasn't sure if maybe Shelob was like once a woman. It was then through some kind of magic turned into this giant spider with consciousness. I don't know if that's lore or not.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
Oh,
Well,
no.
wasn't there
I
at-
think she's actually a giant magical spider that takes the form of a woman to seduce men.
Quite the opposite.
I
thought it was
she
the
was
opposite.
human first and then turned into a spider.
She chose
really?
the spider. At some point in the game, she said she chose
The Black Widow?
the spider.
Okay, so she had a disagreement with Breadboard.
General Breadboard.
General Breadboard.
I think she was not supportive of his plans or whatnot to make the rings and everything, and she lashed out. I think she got cursed or something. Like it was a little vague. I mean, you're putting all these pieces together. They're all scenes from this overarching story. She gets attacked, but then her like true powers come out. You see her like clawing and everything, and she retreats. After she kills all these guys, she just runs away to the mountains. Well, she loves Lair, essentially. She goes up, and you see her just like over the days slowly transforming. Her arms become more spindly. Her eyes become more sunken in. Like
Hot.
she's just like turning into the spider
Doing,
slowly.
doing tons of heroin.
Yeah, tons of it.
Mount Heroin.
But I think it just basically shows her fall from becoming like she was like a priestess in like a temple and just slowly became
An
spider
arachnid.
a
lady.
spider lady in the
Ooh.
mountains, secluded. It was a cool little. I thought it was a cool little story.
What you doing with those 6 other legs, girl?
Wow. Monopolize that market.
But she is in The Hobbit?
She's in
She's
Return of the King.
Return of the King.
Oh,
she's the
okay.
one that gets Frodo, and then Sam goes and fights
gotcha.
her off.
Okay, all right. So that is Shelob in that.
But she never takes like a human form, or I guess she's an elf. Elf, human,
I don't know if
humanoid.
she
I
was
think
an
she's a
elf.
humanoid.
There you go.
That covers all our bases there.
Yep,
Yeah.
there you go.
Couple story beats. I disliked that Gollum just like showed up, and to me it
Forced.
it was a little forced. And while I feel that the actor that was doing Gollum was a dead ringer for Andy Serkis and was very good, that whole bit with him, like I was just like, get out of here. Like I don't even want to see Gollum. And that begs the question. It's like, okay, if you're gonna like bring Gollum, why not have like one mission where you work with a wizard? You have all this lore that you could be using, because there were more wizards than just Gandalf, Saruman, and Radagast the Brown. They could have used other wizards. They could have done other things, but they just don't explore it at all.
You could have used a lot of other
Oh,
things.
but we'll bring
like
Gollum in.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah.
We'll bring Gollum in for 5 minutes because haha Gollum, we have to. Like I was annoyed with
Just
that.
there. Well, let me follow him around for a little bit, and he's gone.
I was also annoyed with
So
yeah.
The only reason that I can see them using Gollum is because this whole fucking he's in the first one too.
Oh, he is.
Gollum is in the first one, but it's because this all revolves around the ring, and he has this weird obsession. Like he's obsessive
It's
with the ring,
precious.
and like
Wait, who is? Gollum's obsessed with the ring?
No, never. Precious.
so he has the obsession with the ring. I think it comes out in the first game that like he sees him like in that like weird like wraith.
Oh, that's right. He can see Celebrimbor.
Yeah, he can see him because of how much of the ring's power he's like manipulated or absorbed or whatever
Yeah, okay.
through osmosis. But he can
Okay,
see
all right.
him, so
Okay.
he like is like attached to Talion in a way.
Okay.
That's the only reason I can see him being in it. But I agree, it's super forced, and it was super forced in the first one as well.
Okay. It just when you see Gollum, it's sort of we
It
know
should have been
where we
Gimli.
are. There's no dwarves.
Yeah.
There's no dwarves in the entire game.
Yep.
And they don't need to be. Like, it doesn't need to be like, the orf.
Isn't the lore
dwarf?
that the dwarves never inhabited Mordor specifically?
Probably. Which,
They only ever did the mines underneath.
Yeah. I get it. But to me, like, it just seems like a missed opportunity. Like, we've got a bunch of elves, a bunch of humans, and orcs and the like, and trolls. But
I mean, it was predominantly orcs. Let's just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly
But
orcs.
there wasn't a lot of humans either. Like, not any areas you can walk around and see humans meandering around. It was just more like, hey, here's a couple characters for a cutscene. But outside of that, you don't really see them.
The only other
You
time
see
I
them as,
really
like, slaves or whatever.
Yeah, that or in
Captives.
Act 1, before the fortress fell, I remember when you were going back and when you were doing the mission where you had to meet up with Idril to go on a quest to find her father, I think that's one of the only times you really saw humans just...
Oh, like the ones tied up at the
walking around.
posts?
No, not even
No,
tied up at the
just
posts.
walking around.
There was like a little courtyard thing. There were like the soldiers out on the walls, but there were actual people within the
like
walls.
the inner sanctum of Minas Ethel.
Exactly. And then they were just there, and they were just
Or
standing
training
around.
or doing whatever. Yeah, they were,
They weren't really doing much, but they were there, and I think that's really the only other time, other than being enslaved, that you see humans in an area like that.
have to give the city a population.
All right, no, it's
enslaved?
it's nothing against you, Steve. I just want to point out that we're 4 grown-ass men
Yeah,
of reasonable intelligence.
reasonable.
We're all nerds. Not a single one of us can actually remember most of the names from the fucking game. It's funny. It's just funny to me, like that. Like
Idril, Castamere.
Wait.
you're reading them off a piece of paper. that
So
you wrote
Idril I
down.
remember,
not
but-
General Breadboard?
I thought it was General Breadboard.
I think that's a
No,
statement to the
Celebrity.
how interesting these characters were. I remembered Shelob because I thought she was a cool character.
I remember Shelob because it sounds like She-Ra.
I only remember Bjork because her name's actually Canon or Conan.
I remember Bruce too because I liked
And
him as a
Bruce.
character.
Yeah, I like Bruce.
Bruz.
And I like Talion because he's the main fucking
Italian,
character.
the Aragorn cutout.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
he
what I
really
wanted
is.
to say was
I'm like, is that Vito?
with him, like around the time he started like with the Gollum bit, and I think I have a clip of this where I'm like, really? Like he's like both Frodo and he's Aragorn now, or he's like, okay, I'll listen to Smeagol and do this and do that. But he's a cookie cutter Aragorn. But
Oh, yeah,
not.
for
Cookie
sure.
Godder.
Knock off.
Well, he's also a ranger.
Well, yeah.
Like he's also a ranger, which is what Aragorn
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
And,
That's
you know,
what
like,
everybody
it's
calls him
really-
anyway.
Yeah, ranger.
Well, except for Ratfink, then that was
Rat bag.
Well, wait,
Ratbag.
didn't everybody call him Tark?
Oh, was that the minion guy who had the big brute?
The little
Yeah,
the
Rat
big
bag.
brute was
I love rat bag.
Can we talk about him real quick? So
Sure.
on the Bruise quest line, there's one
Bruz.
scene. I did post a video on
saw it.
I know it's Bruce. I just call him
Go
Bruz.
on.
my favorite. I liked him as a character. I thought he
rat
was
bag?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he was great comic relief to the storyline. Maybe that's why I like the Bruise storyline as well, because there was a lot of him involved in that.
Just missing
But I did post, this is probably my favorite scene from the entire game, but he's talking to Talion, and he killed some kind of messenger. And Talion comes back, and he's like, oh, what, don't you know the saying about killing the messenger? And he's like, always kill the messenger. And he's shaking his head.
Yeah, always kill the messenger. And he's like, don't.
And then
do
he's
that.
like, well, what did he say before you killed him? And he just starts like bobbing his head, rap, 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 and he's just like shaking his head. I thought it was the greatest scene.
and he just looks him dead in the face and is like, don't do that. Stop.
Yeah. But even after he said, he was like, always kill the messenger, Talion was like, well, that explains a lot about orcs.
yeah.
There was a good little bit of comic relief in it. I did like that. Like every once in a while, they would sprinkle it in there just to be like, "Oh, it's serious. Here's this." He said that. That's
Well,
great.
Ratbag is like a main character in the first one.
I did remember reading about that. That's why the introduction, because when they knew each other. I'm like, well, how the fuck did they really know each other?
Yeah, so that's the thing that might be lost on all of you guys because you didn't play the first one. I saw Ratbag and was like, holy shit, he fucking survived.
He's either like the luckiest orc on Earth, or he's just really good at what he does.
He's really good at being a fucking shitheel.
I liked the one bit of dialogue between them when you're sneaking in the one mission, and he's like, "Hey, I'll scout ahead in the back." He's like, "Don't scouts usually go in the front?" Nah, that's where they always die, or something like that.
Yeah.
He definitely was a breath of fresh air to the other dry characters and missions. And
I like the sneaking mission where he like is gonna stay behind.
yeah,
Right, and he's like, all right, yeah, I'll make sure that if he comes out, I'll stop him. And he's like, yeah, and then I saw him come out, and he just started running that way, and all right, well, I'm gonna go track him down. He's like, oops, that's right.
that was one of the things that was clear. It was like, oh man, so this is a recurring character. I sort of wish I'd played Mordor.
Do we all agree that that's probably the best storyline?
Bruises,
Yeah.
it's probably one of the best.
It's the most enjoyable.
I
Yeah.
like the gameplay in the Conan storyline.
Well, with the Balrog.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Balrog.
Oh, God.
Like those actual battles and shit were fucking cool. The storyline was fucking atrocious though.
Kinda.
I couldn't stand Bjork. I'm sorry. I really was just like, please, can I just set you on
Please
fire?
buy my album on CD. It's great for you and great for me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty damn accurate.
Exactly. I couldn't do it. All right, so I kind of want to break away from like because like the story is going to be like a big thing. Does anyone have any like final
I
things?
do
about the
have one
story?
thing, and this is actually a good way to maybe tie it up. Is
We
like
could maybe talk about the ending too.
yeah, that's exactly where I want to get
Okay.
to. I have a little bit of a strong feeling about this, but
All right.
they wrap it up with saying that to stop Sauron, we need to keep it an eternal war. A constant war between the blue ring and the red ring, essentially. Between Breadboard and Sauron, where they're kind of like this continuous battle.
Well, he wants to conquer him because we can't kill him,
yes.
and then it ends
Yeah.
up
No,
being
no. The end of the game is you need to create chaos in the middle between Sauron and Mordor so that he can't break through Mordor to get into Middle-earth. That is your goal with Shadows, the War of Shadows.
Well, you did see the tower where it kept flickering between blue and red. Like,
Yeah,
I know they were
yeah.
intertwined at that point.
You
They
mean
like
the main-
they almost
the
like
main story.
merged as one, trying to overtake each other's
Right.
essence, essentially. I don't know. I just thought it was a kind of a weird.
But like their whole thing of saying like, look, it does not matter who is in control of that tower. Talion's goal then is he has to keep the chaos. He has to keep the Bright Lord or the Dark Lord out of fucking Middle Earth. Like that is his goal. Is he needs to create as much chaos as possible in between.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So
He
that
needs to
can't
keep
break
eternal war. It's supposed
Yeah.
to just
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah.
It just. I thought it was a cop out of an ending, personally. It's just It's just to bridge that gap into like the open play, essentially.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what
I know, but I'm just saying, as a story, I'm not a fan.
Look, I completely get it. It's not a fantastic wrap everything up in a nice bow ending. I totally get that. It's just like, how are they, if they end or definitively end that character in anything other than him just dying, they undo the last two games. Personally, how do you wrap up this story without it affecting The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings and having this character survive?
It's got middle chapter syndrome.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it has.
It's got middle.
So
Earth
he has to
syndrome.
just survive, and it has to be this open-ending thing where they can dump you into the end game that never actually ends because that character can't ever just end.
I don't want to defend it, though, just because it's stuck in a weird place. You know what I mean? I think we're just giving it an excuse to get by, essentially, or praising it higher than maybe if it was like an end to a series.
Oh, dude,
type of storyline.
don't get me wrong. I'm not like necessarily defending it. I'm just saying that's what it is for what it is. I'm telling you this right now, none of my score is based off the fucking story of this game, because that's not what it is for me. What it is my own story, which I want to actually talk about, like some of our unique experiences. like some of your just memorable
Yeah,
moments.
no, that's fine. I
That's
think
what
I'm
would
good
like to
on.
finish off.
I think I'm good on just like the story that we've all would experience.
Yeah, because I think it's important that we all talk about like our own individual story, like that we experienced that was different from everyone else too, because that's a lot of what this game is. But my score is almost entirely based on the fucking gameplay, because the gameplay is.
What is it?
Nice. Ziploc bag.
Jinx.
So I would like to share this. Like, it's something that was really fucking funny. So I brought this guy up as my bodyguard, and he fucking betrayed me and killed me as I took over a fucking fortress. So I kept going back and trying to kill him, and he was one of the fucking berserkers, and they're really hard to...
With the dual weapons?
Yeah, the dual weapons. He had 2
choke ya.
axes. He was really fucking hard to kill with a ton of people around. And, you know, in those end fortress battles, if you kill somebody, just someone comes out of one of the fucking doors on the side.
Yeah.
So you have to literally just eliminate that person in the middle. I had to wait until way later in the game. How I eventually beat him was I waited until way later in the game when I found out that he was terrified of grogs, like the giant fucking, like, troll things.
Yeah.
And I summoned one in the room and
Holy
then
shit.
summoned a fucking my sidekick, and he was like, "Oh, I'm terrified," and I was like, "You're broken, bitch." Psst.
Done.
Fucking dominated him.
Took him back.
Dude, I fucking dominated him, and he was too high a level because he kept fucking killing me.
shame him?
And he would
Oh.
just, yeah, I fucking shamed
Oh,
him
you
and then
shamed
went
him?
after him.
I would have killed him by
He
that
became
point.
the unashamed too because he killed me so many fucking times.
The unashamed?
Yeah, like his nickname changed to the unashamed.
So you
Interesting.
shamed the unashamed.
All he did was drop in level. It did not affect any of his stats.
Damn.
It was nuts. It was crazy, but he had literally killed me 5 times. I kept going back. I kept going back. I kept fucking going back and fighting this guy. I even waited 10 fucking levels, and he somehow fucking killed me. Fucking gained 15, or I think he gained 12 fucking levels when he killed me the one time.
Holy shit.
God.
It was nuts. And then he was just like unfucking stoppable. He went from being a fucking epic to a legendary too in this whole fucking process.
Oh, you helped him grow up.
Yeah, dude, it was fucking nuts. But he became my biggest fucking rival, and I
Yeah,
kept
rival.
going back to them and was like, fucking Urska the Hatchet. I fucking hate you. You need to die. And when I had the opportunity to actually recruit him for the army, I was like, no, I'm fucking killing this guy.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
can
you're
never
done.
come
No.
back. He was already part of my fucking army once.
You fucked it up.
Fuck him.
Your one chance is done, bitch.
How
Fuck
did
him.
How did he die?
Fuck
Do you
him.
recall?
I cut his fucking head off.
Nice.
Nice.
Decapitation or cleave.
Yeah, I cleaved him.
I love the executions.
So, like, not only that. So, there's going to be a video of this. I saved a video of it. I'm going to give it over to Ralph. You can find it on our Instagram. I ruined this one person that I had actually be one of my field generals, and it was fucking fantastic because you have, like, it pans off to the person that's on your left, and he's like, all right, Captain, let's take over the fucking shit we're about to fucking maraud. And then it shifts over to this guy, and it was like Tark the fucking Ruined. It was his name. Literally, his nickname changed to the Ruin, and he was like,
Oh, he's one of the crazy guys. They were my favorite.
that was my second in command. No wonder I couldn't fucking kill this guy. God, but like that was the most interesting part of the entire fucking game to me. Story side alone, like this, me trying to take over this fucking fortress. It was the low level one too. That's what I'm ashamed to
Oh,
admit.
the first one?
No, dude, it was like the level fucking 21.
Oh, okay.
It was the level 21. I had the fucking level 35 one and the level 41, no problem. First fucking try. This fucking level 25 one, I just couldn't fucking get.
I don't know. That's what I liked because
It was fucking brutal.
each one of those guys. That's something really like when you're building up for the siege, which we'll get into gameplay. But at least I found it hard to choose between people who I wanted as like bodyguards and like my generals and everything else. Just because I don't know, I like the crazy. Like when they just like walk up and then they come into the frame, it's like. I'm like, I kind of like you. That's pretty good. And then when you just have the giant, I will turn your bones into dust. Da da da. I'm like,
Yeah, are they
I
like
like
trolls?
it
Like,
too.
do we have a definitive? Well, we can agree what they are.
Well, there's the Ologs, which are like the giant fucking
There.
troll type
Olog,
of
Bruce.
things.
Bruce is an Olog.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then there's
then
the Uruks, which are the
yeah,
orcs.
the smaller guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a hard time choosing because I like you, and I don't know if I like you a little bit. I judged off of personality. It's like level is a
Yeah.
good thing, but personality, that's just what really kind of affected me. And I got pissed a couple times because even through Act 2, because you're really trying to like build some stuff up, and Idril killed at least a couple captains that I wanted, only because we were swarmed. I'm trying to counter, do everything else, and he's finally broken, and I'm trying to make my way over. I can't dominate at the time because I still have bitches coming in, and then all of a sudden she stabs him. I'm like, bitch. I
Yeah,
wanted him.
like I would. It was always really funny in the middle of a fucking fight where I would see somebody that I'm like, you look really cool. You have some pretty interesting dialogue so far. Kind of want to recruit you. And then like one of my captains would be like, no, I got this. I'm just gonna rip their fucking arms
It's
off
like,
because
oh,
I used to like to siege places with Ologs because they're fucking gross.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Like they're so fucking strong. Like it was just awesome to really see them like, and their fucking executions are brutal. Grabbing someone by the two fucking arms, putting their foot on their back, and just ripping their fucking.
I don't think
arms
I've
off.
ever. I don't think I saw that.
I'll send
No,
you
I
a
missed
fucking
that.
Either
video
that or
of it.
smash him
Because-
down and then taking the giant club and just smashing him in the fucking head. Which I'm gonna save that for gameplay / graphics because there's so much to fucking explore on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Glorious.
Another great moment that I had was I reclaimed Bruce for my army, by
Yeah?
the way. Yes, I didn't kill him. I fucking reclaimed him and brought him back to my fucking army.
Bring me back again.
So on the final bridge where you're running
Yeah.
through and killing all the fucking Nazgul and they're bringing back old fucking captains, not a single fucking captain was even remotely my level because I had like fucking everybody on my fucking team. And I'll get into that in gameplay because it was too crowded, but
I just recruited those guys and moved on. Everybody. I recruited everybody.
yeah,
as
I was
went
just recruiting everybody as I fucking moved on. War chiefs, fucking captains, whatever. I had some guy that kind of like, you know how they do the challenges? They're not really called challenges, but like if you can be in the middle of a fray and they're like, Ranger! And it goes into like the little cutscene where they introduce each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
I literally had somebody pull out of that cutscene and then go right into a cutscene where Bruce comes up, grabs them by the fucking arms and kicks them in the back and rips their fucking arms out in execution. It was
chance.
amazing. He was like, Ranger, let's go. And then Bruce is like, nah. Like, he just rips dude apart on the fucking bridge. I have a video of it. You can see it on our Instagram. It's fucking fantastic.
I admit I must have killed Bruce because I probably thought about recruiting him or it was a scenario where I couldn't get to him. I can't remember, but I know I didn't have him on my crew for that segment.
Yeah, Bruce was...
Yeah, and the Ologs. One of my stories that I wanted to share was there was this one Olag. I think he killed me once because I got into a fray and there were multiple captains and I couldn't get away or I thought I'd fight it out and they ended up killing me. But he was a fucking sadist, and he's one of these guys who was like, hurt me, like a fucking gray fox, complete like nutcase. And I was like, that's interesting. I want to keep you. And I tried to. It's like, oh, you're so cute. I want to add you to my collection. I tried to.
You gotta catch them all.
I tried to dominate him and add him to my ranks, but I ended up decapitating him. I think someone ended up killing him, and I was like, damn it. I was like.
I wanted him.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'll just wait for the next one, and I didn't come
damn it.
across any other sadists the entire time I played. I was like, I'm looking for someone who's really into pain. Have you seen anybody? No. Okay. I had a couple. I can't remember exactly because so much time took place in between, and there were so many orcs. But at the very end of the game, after you have become a wraith, and Sauron and Celebrimbor or whatever, they're fighting and whatever, and you control yourself.
General Breadboard.
You're in chapter 4, and you're in Minas Morgul. I was just like standing there, and I was like looking at my stats, and then I came out of the pause menu, and there were a couple of orcs doing whatever, and then Ranger, and it was some dude, and I was like, wait a minute, I remember you. I can't remember where from, but I know I killed this dude, and he was called Stagul Flame of War, but he was like the burned or whatever, and his like skin was all fucked up. He came up with a peg leg, like a metal peg leg, and he's like clink,
Yeah.
clunk, clink, clunk, clink, clunk, and I must have killed him and like took his leg off or whatever like ages ago, and he showed up level 35, and he actually beat me. Like I just beat the game, and he beat me in single combat.
What a
There was
bitch.
nobody
Oh,
else around.
shit.
He killed me, and I was like, son of a bitch. So I wanted to do the vendetta and track him down, but I ran out of time before coming here. I'm trying to think other story. But Harry,
He's
do you have
waiting
one?
for you.
That's something that I love too. Is like if you kill somebody,
Sometimes they come back.
So the whole thing with that is if you execute somebody, they never come back.
Execute?
Yeah, if you execute somebody.
EGG.
Execute. Okay, fine. Execute.
Execute.
If you
Those
execute
things are pretty
somebody,
cute. What are you, like, going out on a date or something?
If you execute somebody, they don't come back.
Okay.
If you kill them any other way, they can come back.
Yeah.
I had a guy who literally, when he came back, had half of like the weird fucking orc cyborg face.
Cyborg phase.
Yeah, like he had a metal plate.
Oh.
Literally from his nose to about his ear and to the middle of his fucking head down to his neck.
They put me back together.
Literally,
Yeah.
it was like something like Targus the Parted, and like he just had all these fucking metal pieces for fucking body parts. It
Parted.
was ridiculous.
What sticks out in your mind, Harry?
I gotta say, I don't think I got that in depth with any particular characters, but I did have one bodyguard that I really liked, and it was just an Uruk. This kind of ties into gameplay a little bit, but I liked the range bodyguards because I found myself meleeing some of my heavy hitters that were fighting with me.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I had
yeah.
That's actually how I had a couple guys turn on me because I hit them too many times while I was trying to hit a different
And
one,
it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
and they just kind of betray you from like
Like right then and there or later?
right
They
on the
betray-
spot.
Oh, wow.
So you're battling like 2 or 3, and you're like, I gotta call in my bodyguard to help me, and then he turns on you as well, and it's like you versus 4.
Nice.
It just made it very irritating. So I tend to go with the ranged bodyguards, but I had this one who had explosive rounds on like a bow gun.
Holy shit.
Ooh.
It was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Do, 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 do.
And his attitude was always like hilarious about it. Like as soon as you'd call him in, he's like, let's do this, boss. And he just starts firing these
No
like
wonder you loved him.
bazooka shots into crowds, and you just see like orcs just flying all over the screen. I
awesome.
thought he was such a cool character. Just the excitement of him just like firebombing these fucking like hordes of orcs. It just,
What's the ice region? If you guys remember, do you know what I mean? Though
I don't remember. Yeah,
There's the one that's set in the
Yeah.
mountains and it's cold.
Yeah.
I had a bodyguard who was also ranged, but his little like he didn't have anything special. I don't think, like maybe powerful shot or whatever. But the thing that was funny about him was he repeated the same thing over and over again. He was like, "You better watch out! You better watch out!" And his name was like, wait a minute. His name was
Santa Claus.
Santa,
the
yeah,
Crimp.
damn
No.
Santa
Krampus.
Claus. You
His
better
name-
watch out.
His name was Crimp the Lookout.
Crimp.
Crimp the Lookout, and he
Krampus.
just said it over and over again. So like he was one of my guys for a siege, right? And it was the thing where it's like, okay, here's the one captain. He says something, he comes over him, and he's just like, "You better watch out! You better watch out!" Like he just keeps saying it. That's all he said. It's all he said the whole time I played.
My guy that was like the ruined. It was like the most pathetic whimper, and then just cackling madness, and then right back to the pathetic whimper. And it was like, you are actually like your name, the ruined, perfect fit,
Makes sense.
perfect fit.
I had 2 guys who I shamed,
Mhm.
and they became deranged, where they just babble. They don't speak English or any form
Right,
of language anymore. They're
right.
just that's what I was doing in the beginning of the episode. Like they just like babble, and that's it.
All right, well, let's move in to gameplay.
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 All right, guys. So let's talk about the gameplay.
I love the gameplay.
Me too.
I really
too.
do. To bring up something that Ralph said earlier, where it feels like Arkham, that is something that I really enjoyed. There were points in this game I didn't even just swing the sword to attack. I would just wait for the counter system. I got the upgrade so that way on perfectly timed counter, You would
Death.
kill the enemy.
Yep.
And I would
too.
just stand motionless and wait for him to come. And then you could do double block and then
Yep.
block again and go with that. And before you know it, your hit streak was just stupid.
Your
Like,
might is up. You do an execution.
execution,
And then you do like
then,
a triple execution because
Yeah.
you can do the execution chains and stuff.
and then you go into Elven Rage and you just take out an entire fucking horde of orcs and just start the process all over again. I thought that was awesome. I love that type of combat system.
I can't agree enough. I think that is something that in the style of like the Assassin's Creed type of games, there's really only 3 games that really nail it. And I think it's Assassin's Creed, the Arkham game, and this.
Yeah,
2 of them are made by WB, so
there you
and,
go.
And I think they have the better system for it. The counter system, the vaulting, like how you can vault over people,
How they
the
adapt.
the freeze stun, and you just like start fucking ripping into
Yeah.
somebody, like, and not to mention all the fucking skills and how you can customize. Like, I think it's incredible.
You shoot someone in the foot with an arrow, you freeze them
Pin
in
'em.
place.
Yeah, you freeze
the
them into
freeze
fucking
pin.
place. Like,
It's fucking gross, and just the different ways you can really really
Dismember
give
an
you
orc.
exactly, like they give you so many different options that can kind of more custom tailor to the way you like to play the game. Maybe you like to get in there a little, get into like the combat a little bit, pull back, and then start picking people off. You can do that. If you just want to go in and fucking hack and slash, you can do that. If you want to be stealthy, you can do that. Like it's basically a very open concept of whatever the fuck you want to do. And I think that was a very genius and very thought out thing that they really put a lot of time into, because you basically, for the most part, got to do what you want. And
Yep.
you could tailor it to the way you actually play your games. And then even so much to make it to the fact that you can get outside of your comfort zone a little bit of the way you usually play it, adapt, and overcome just whatever's thrown at you. I have nothing to say against the way they actually structured the combat system. I thought it was amazing.
I completely agree. One of the best feelings in this game is like one captain and 20 orcs, and you just get done this sick fucking combo where your hit streak's in the fucking 20s or 30s, and just everyone is laying in a fucking pile of themselves.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. It makes you feel like such a badass, and it's so fluid. It's not like, really like, oh, I hit X, I knock into one person while they're sitting there swiping me. Like,
Yeah.
everything is an active system. So, like, you knock somebody over, fucking run over, start doing a ground execution. Somebody attacks you, you press triangle. Either you fucking parry it or your fucking ghost fucking parries it and murders
Yeah.
them while you're still killing the person on the ground. The combos of like the different ways that you can play the game based on like the skill sets even and like the skills that you can equip is incredible to me. I really think it's a genuinely unique experience. And then you tie that all in with another gameplay mechanic of the Nemesis system where you have these rivals and you have these other captains, or like you're being hunted and there's bounties on your head, and then it's just like, oh my god, I'm like almost dead, and then all of a sudden this fucking assassin captain shows up, and you're like, well, shit,
Ambushed.
I'm in
fucked.
some real
Yeah.
danger, because if I get hit by one of his fucking arrows, I'm dead. He's gonna level up, and he's still gonna be fucking hunting me down. Like, that shit's incredible to me. I really, honestly, I truly love the gameplay and the Nemesis system. I can't express more how much I think it's an incredible just pairing of two systems in a game.
And it really goes to, this is going to touch a little bit on graphics, but the fact that you can put that many characters in that area, and I had no clipping. I didn't have anything else where I could, it's like I'm in the middle of a pack, I can vault, run over to the side, and then I just see this horde coming over, and then I just pull out the bow, pop it into a fire that's going on, and just like take out,
Detonate.
yeah,
Yep.
an entire what's
Horde?
an entire horde, but at least like where you can pull out different tactics and just like, I'm just going to run away.
Shut up.
Oh, look at you all just kind of
Obliterate.
coming up. Bop. Fucking fire everywhere,
Yep.
and you take out half of them. You can take down the captains like more than like half health just by lighting them on fire, as long as they're not immune to fire.
Yeah, immune to fire.
Yeah,
But it's
The strengths and weaknesses.
the strengths
it's-
and weaknesses were really cool.
and
like-
how cool it really feels to like
Exploit one.
be in exploit that, and then that sends your hit streak up, but to just be in the middle of a pit and just surrounded, and then you're just like, when you get on a roll, it's like, I think my highest like hit streak I got to like 65.
Nice.
And just to be able to see that number go up and a little bit more, and you get more powerful as it happens.
Criticals.
And then you start keeping going, and then you get more powerful, and you're striking fuckers down. It's like, I'm a fucking god right now. This is amazing. You don't get that with a lot of games these days. I'm sorry, that's my rant. That was like probably one of the coolest things ever, where they really took that system, refined it, and made it, oh god, I want more of that in my life.
For every 10 on your hit streak, your critical chance gets higher and higher. Once you hit 30, every fucking hit is like, if it's a regular orc, they're dead. If it's an Olog, it's like 2 hits, they're fucking dead.
It doesn't
Like,
take much.
and
yeah.
you're just leveling fucking people. I had a captain show up in the middle of like a 40 hit streak. He came over to me and I was like, boop! He was instantly broken.
Yeah.
Instantly. Just, I hit him once and he was just like, fuck. Like,
Nice.
I'll
He
be
said that, like,
yours. And I was like, nah, you're dead because you're a bitch.
I'm happy to be your chosen.
Yeah, I'm happy to be your chosen. Nah, bro.
You're Gorluck the bitch. Grab my belt loop, fucker.
But like, yeah, like just the like even the strengths and weaknesses of the different captains. Like, it was really cool to like try to stealth kill one of the fucking captains, and it happens to be something they're terrified of.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, you're like 2 levels higher than me. Stealth kill. Oh, you're broken already? Let me shame you. Like,
Yeah.
let me tell you how
Shame.
much of a fucking bitch
Shame.
you are. You'll lose some fucking levels. I'll fucking hunt you down later. Bye, bitch. Like,
And then
get out of my fucking area. I'm
And
trying to
then
do something.
even when they would the one thing that threw me off the first time was that the captains, they adapt.
Yeah.
So you can't use the same thing. It's like, oh, this method is working, so I'm going to keep doing the same thing. And then you run into the one, it's like, oh, Vault Breaker, you're not doing that shit. Oh, I'm going to try to stun you. They adapted to that shit. It's like, I need to think outside the box a little bit now, because it's the same thing I've been doing for the past, like, how many other captains. It's not working on you. So, step up your game a little bit, which I thought was a really neat thing.
Yeah, the last fortress that I took down, the captain was level 40 or 41. I can't remember now, but he was a handful, and it took me a while.
Yeah.
And he started to adapt to everything I did,
Yeah.
to the point where I just had to get lucky and like sneak a hit in there, like a regular hit.
Yeah.
I guess, because I couldn't vault, I couldn't stun him, he was arrow proof. He was susceptible to poison, but I didn't have anything except for the elven light, where it would give poison at the end. Like I had bought that point, which goes into like the fire, ice, and then poison and cursed systems
The element
as well.
stuff.
Yep.
The elemental stuff that you can exploit, or that you can put on your character. And obviously it's good to have variety. And if you're just all ice and you come across somebody who
Is immune, you're
to it,
kinda
You're kind of fucked.
I actually went all fire.
Did you?
With almost every ability, because I think there was another perk to upgrade your fire damage, or
100% increases the burn length, I think, or something like that.
I
Harry
forget.
was flaming.
There was something that stacked with all the fire, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go all fire.
Oh, okay.
So it just worked for me, but I know it's kind of like channeling my focus, but I thought, cool, I'm going to specialize in one thing just to be really efficient at that one thing.
That captain or whoever I was trying to take out, the war chief, he was in like a fire realm. Like when you go into the fortress and you have the vents, it was all fire.
Yeah, that's the last fortress that you
Is
take
he
over.
I guess it's the same for everybody for that.
No. The
I had an
actual
all
orc-
poison.
All poison?
Yeah.
Mine was all curse.
I did have the
I didn't come
fire,
across
but
much cursing.
not
I
too
did.
much.
I came across a lot of people that had it on
Really?
their fucking weapons,
Oh, it
man.
was irritating.
Weird.
'Cause
What
that's
level? So I noticed that curse doesn't come up until you hit level 35.
Oh, really?
And then it's every fucking where. Curse is brutal in that fucking game. Like,
It kills your momentum.
yeah,
Big time.
it's not so much for the orcs themselves, like if you curse your weapon or whatever, that doesn't usually have a giant effect, but man, it really fucks you up.
It depletes your what's that one gauge where you can use
Might.
your might.
Yeah.
It depletes your might, and I use that like especially when fighting those high level captains. That was my way of it's like my saving grace. Or boom, I'm going to do a huge amount of damage when I try to. I forget what the name of the attack is.
Execute?
You do like an execute is the triangle and circle. or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
execution. Yep.
Or if I'm low on health, I would do. I think it was circle X where you grab
drain
them
'em.
to drain
Yeah.
them. Like even though you couldn't capture like an unbroken captain, you could still get health back
Right.
Yeah.
by doing that. That was kind of my way of saving my last chances for like when it's really coming down to neck and neck in that
Yep.
battle. So when that curse comes into effect and you're constantly losing all your might that you're building up,
Yeah,
it just
it's
makes
so
it
hard.
so much harder.
I didn't come across much of that. I was level 37 when I finished. Maybe I
level
just like
43.
missed it.
I don't remember what level. I know it was like high 40s.
High 40s.
I was around. I wasn't too far off from where Clark was. It was like a low 40s, something
Really?
like
So I
that.
beat the game level 37.
Yeah, good for you. It sounds
good
like
for
me
you.
with Final Fantasy 15, where that was just a fucking struggle because I never
Oh,
leveled up
God.
as much. But
Yeah.
the one that fucked me over was Poison. That was the one that really seemed to be like a real bitch for me.
Yeah,
anyway,
no, I
but
gotcha.
but that's only because like once it was going on, there's tactics and everything else you can use. I would just go gung ho, and it's like just put me in the middle of the pit. I'll try to counter as much as I can, and that usually didn't work out too well. But that's just the style of play that I liked for it.
I had a fucking piece of gear that was level 9 that I never took off from the time that I got it because it reduced range damage by 27%. It was fucking ridiculous. It was so goddamn good. I just never took it off. I was like,
Some of
I
the
was like,
gear is
I was like,
awesome.
replace this. Like, let me find something that even remotely replaces this. Nothing even close.
So while we're talking about gear, before we really get into it, I did want to say this is a criticism because I know we've been like hyping the game a lot. I don't like the loot system in this game. Just the random drops, the random abilities on the loot. Like you can't ever like spend your currency to like buy like specifically. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that whole system where you can only get better loot by fighting higher level creatures essentially.
Or a death threat, and then they become like their stuff gets
more
better,
stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something that I don't know, and maybe you guys can tell me. It goes common, rare, epic. Legendary, or legendary epic.
I think
know.
epic and then legendary.
I just
So
remember
it goes,
based
it
off
goes
of colors.
gold, then
Purple.
purple, right? Purple's the highest tier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
purple is legendary.
Gold, orange,
Yeah,
purple.
purple
I
is
think.
the best.
Yes.
I do know that.
Yeah, gold, orange, purple.
Anybody
I-
else find it annoying you couldn't break down your level 1 stuff?
Yeah, it was just always there. It's like,
That's
do I
so-
really need this? It's like I'm in like my 20s and 30s.
I thought it was irritating.
So I think if you collect all the artifacts, all of that stuff gets upgraded majorly.
What, your level 1 stuff?
Yes,
'Cause
I
I-
think it all becomes your level, your end level stuff, or your
Oh,
like
that
level
makes sense.
50 gear.
Because I know one that only really stands out there was the one that was like the hood, the cloak, and
Yeah.
that was the one that was given for like the 1 year anniversary from the very
Yeah,
beginning.
from his wife.
Yeah,
from
from
his
his
wife.
wife.
It's
And
like his
That's just
like thing.
there. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if at some point there's a way to like make that it a legendary type of thing, or at least like, you know, something special compared to everything else. One thing I did kind of like, but it's only because it really kind of touches on like Diablo, where you could have sets.
Yes, the sets.
You
Yeah,
can
the
have sets
were
for
cool.
everything. So if you had everything, you got extra bonuses for it. And that I really find caters to my type of play style because, I try to get through the game so I didn't find everything, but I want the sets. I want to
must
be
have
able.
missed that. I must have missed that you could have like the Rohan set, I guess, and the Gondor set.
It's like
No,
the,
no,
you know,
no,
it's
no.
like-
It's like the
It's like the
legend.
fucking ring wraith set, and like,
Oh.
dude, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really cool shit.
When you're in your inventory screen, all the way on the right, there's the one that looks like Sauron's mask, and you click on
Oh,
it, and
okay.
you're able to see the different sets. And I mean, there's like at least a dozen, if not a little more, like sets that you can have. And just knowing that there's that many items out there, that's what kind of kicks in. I need to go find that shit. which I did find doing the online vendettas, you can get some. It's a little more easier to get some legendary stuff.
I did a couple
I think
online
they're all.
vendettas.
I think most of the online vendettas are either epic or legendary.
Yeah,
Whenever
it
you
depends
go
on what
fight
level
them.
you are and everything else. I only did like 1 or 2 because I didn't want to distract myself even more. But with that, you got the extra, you got like the little loot crate. But yeah, you got like extra points. And the other person, if you defeated the person that killed them, you got points from that as well.
Right.
But yeah, that was a good way to obtain like some of the higher level gear instead of just grinding out through the regular game.
Just to go back for a minute, I did want to say that I had a cloak that I kept that I could have replaced, but I think it reduced fire time, like how long you would burn,
Oh.
by 80%.
Damn.
Oh God.
Oh, yeah,
I
would
was
not
like,
get
I was
rid of
like
that.
walking through fire like it was nothing.
Yeah, because you're like outdone. Also, another thing that I really like about the sets, all the gear in general, anything like epic or legendary, is where it has a challenge that for you to do, and then you
Yeah.
unlock it, and it gets a second ability. Like
Yeah.
Oh,
that
do
shit
that.
is done so well. And it plays into like the piece of armor that it is too. Like I had like cloaks that were like, oh, get 3 stealth executions or
3
and-
stealth archer executions where they got
yeah,
specific.
stuff like that. But then it's like do 3 stealth archer executions. Oh, your damage with your bow is more, or like
Yeah.
you take less range damage and shit like that. Like it was always like something specific to what that cloak is really gonna fucking help you out with. I thought it was just very intelligent design.
I feel it's kind of a missed opportunity that you're basically sharing your body with this elvish craftsman, but there's no system for him to like make or upgrade weapons.
The
or
man
armor.
made a goddamn ring.
No, I know.
No,
But what
I
I'm
know, but I
saying
mean,
is,
like, so that
he's
you
a
can't
smith.
go off of it,
like
yeah.
you'd think that
Me too.
that there'd be like, oh, okay, well, if I put these 3 gems in, he can reforge it or do this or do that, because reforging Narsil is like a big thing in Lord of the Rings. It just doesn't feel right that you've got this. Yeah, he's a great warrior, but he's also a smith. But there's no system to use that. Like it would just make a lot of sense with the story, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah,
I like
no,
what we got, but I just was like, okay, well, why can't he like make me a better dagger or build one from scratch or collect these elements and he can make you one or something like that. I always like that kind of crafting when it comes to games, and this it didn't have anything like that.
Yeah, there isn't any crafting in this game.
That thought actually never crossed my mind, but it does make sense.
It just seems logical. I don't know. They had a different gameplay setup in mind.
Or at least something that would actually deal with like the Wraith type of side of, where you can like, that's a little more like on the upgrades. Yeah, you have the physical ones that, he's able to have, but at least where General Breadboard could kind of help you
General
out with.
Breadboard.
Could kind of help you
General
out with
Breadboard.
a little bit more. It's just like, hey, can I have like a mithril hammer that I can just throw around a little bit?
Yeah.
You had the little daggers, but I mean, give me a little more.
That kind of threw me, actually. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, wait, I have a hammer? What am I supposed to do with this? How is this a ranged thing? I thought it was cool. I
Yep.
never used it in combat, but I thought it was cool because I always had bows that were better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I ran into that as well. The
Yeah.
bows were always out damaging the. Oh, I wasn't gonna say game mode, but I think that was
Or like
my
mission.
favorite thing about the game was the sieges.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, actually, let me touch on that real quick because that was in, I want to say, like the middle of Act 2 is when they started kicking in. I feel like all of Act 1 was one big tutorial, essentially. Because
Yeah.
the game really didn't open up until you were in
No.
Act 2,
Yeah.
and I thought the tutorial was extremely long.
I spent a lot of time in Act 1.
I did as well, and I was trying to like that first area that you're in. I thought like, oh, cool. There's all these captains. If I start killing them, I can start weeding out all these orcs in
Thought
this
the
area.
same thing.
And before you know it, more are popping up at a faster rate than you can kill them, essentially.
Yep.
And I was like, well, this kind of sucks. All right, cool. Let's start doing the missions. And it wasn't until you kind of get into the later acts, but it wasn't really explained well.
No,
essentially.
no,
it
it
was a
wasn't.
little misleading. I felt like the first 10 hours of this game was a chore, to be honest. I was extremely bored. I was just chugging away, not interested at all. It wasn't until you get the ring back from Shelob that I thought the game started getting interesting.
Yep, I 100% agree.
It's probably
I-
twice as long as it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Act 1 should have been 2 to 3 hours.
Should have been.
tops.
Yeah, because it really draws it out. And then Act 2, I understand you're still building up. You have a lot more stuff you're going through. I feel like Act 2 was pretty long as itself, too.
Well, it's all the building of the army.
Yeah.
The meat of the
essentially.
sandwich.
Which I get that, but...
Salami.
Genoa.
Orc.
Prosciutto. But it's
prosciutto.
like, I get that it was the building of the army, and then you went through it. I just... I don't know. Maybe it's the way I actually played through it. If I knew then what I knew now, I would have played a little bit differently to spread it out a little bit.
Are we talking about life or are we talking about gaming?
Talking about everything that
Talking
has to
about
do with
life.
me. Yes, spread it out. But at least so that way it's not like, oh, I'm just going to focus on all the missions. Oh, pretty much the missions are done, so now I'm just building army. Oh, I'm going to work on just building the army and then just trying to make sure I can like siege these fortresses and then do the missions. Kind of go back and forth so that way it doesn't seem like I'm just doing one thing for 8 hours and then doing another thing for 8 hours. Just kind of split it up just to kind of keep my attention a little better. Not that it didn't keep my attention, but like you just said, it didn't feel more like a chore.
Well, I think essentially the point I'm trying to get to is it was like a 10-hour tutorial, to be completely honest with you. How many people give a game a chance for a couple hours and then they kind of make their evaluation? Do I continue or do I stop here?
I usually
bet
put
you
it
they
down.
lost a lot of people within those first 10 hours that maybe didn't experience the meat of this game just because that initial part was just stretched
So-
out.
I'll be honest, if it wasn't for us doing it for the podcast and just trying to get through Act 1, I was already like, I don't know why I'm playing this. Obviously, it's for this, but then after getting that past that point, it was awesome. But that first 7 hours, that was a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that first part where you're cheering on your squad, about to do the first siege, you're ready to storm the castle, you did all your
Oh,
planning,
it's badass.
and he's giving his speech, and then you're just screaming charge, and then the camera pans around as you see your fucking entire force running right
Horde,
past you.
yes.
Yeah.
And you're just staring up at this giant
Just
force. I thought
pointing.
that was literally probably my favorite moment of the game.
I
It
got
didn't
a
get
chubby.
old.
I agree.
It did not get old.
bit of a chubby.
as
No.
you went to
Yeah.
fortresses.
No.
You always look forward to it. Yeah.
I think I liked attacking the fortress more than defending it, but both sides were pretty cool. I did have one gripe. So the combat system was good, but there was one part of the combat system that did drive me fucking bananas.
What made you oranges?
Here we go.
So part of it, one strategy is, boom, you can recruit the grunts in the area
Yes.
and then have them attack
Yes.
whenever you want it. If they went slightly off screen, it just like they wouldn't exist anymore. And I felt like there was a limitation of the hardware there where they can only manage so much on the screen at once. And that being such a big focal point in this game about recruiting and controlling and everything like that, as soon as they would go off the screen, you lose them. I thought that was kind of a little wonky. And that was a strategy I really wanted to use.
Yeah.
Is just start going in and taking all the orcs, like literally building the army from the ground up. And they just kind of took that away from me because you can only have so many on the screen. I don't know. I found that very frustrating, to be
Yeah.
completely honest. It was like one strategy of combat just totally taken off the table for you.
Like, I don't think it's so much as like the amount of characters they could have on the screen at one time, because I've seen a shit ton just on that. But at least
No, but I
maybe,
mean,
like,
as soon
once
as
it
you walk
switches
away
over-
from that specific area, it's just like it never happened.
Yeah, where it's pretty much you would have to turn them. There would have to be other enemies in the area, so they're there. It's not so much because they'll call the other orcs that you turn, that you dominate, your followers. They don't always necessarily follow you. So that way you can just like, because what I would do is like if I'm running into a cave to go save some soldiers, whatever it was, like in Act 2, I'd run in, I would turn like the first one I would find, I would turn the next one from him, have those two start attacking the third guy, turn the third guy, and then in, a great scenario, have the three of them follow me, so I have my little orc horde.
Buffers?
Yeah, that are just going over, and then have them attack, and I would just start turning. By a certain point, I would stop killing and just start turning, because that way I could overwhelm whoever else is there, and then start working on the actual objective. But to your point, it's not like they follow follow you.
Yeah.
To where it's like, hey, I have 5 guys. I run 30 feet that way. They're still back there doing whatever the fuck they're going to do. Although, you could call them. That's the thing, though. I don't know if you really use that. Where
Well, no, you put them into action.
Yeah,
You're doing
well,
stealth, and then you're just
well, stealth on the right-hand side, but if you have followers and they're within the area, you hit down on the D-pad, then that would summon the followers to come attack because they're not going to always.
Well, they
just
would
do it
only attack from the
automatically.
current position, though. It's not like they'd come to your aid at your side or something like that.
Yeah,
They would
well,
it's more of like you activated them rather
Yeah.
than.
That's
summon
also
them.
where if you could find enemies within a certain distance of each other and you can get close enough where you're still close enough to your followers and close enough to the next enemy, hit that pad to make them attack, and then you're still moving your forces. It's a lot of extra work. It's so where
But okay, I'm looking at it more of like if you guys ever played Dynasty Warriors, you go into
Yeah.
a section and you like dominate that section or recruit or whatever, you dismiss them, and then you move on to the next section. But that section is done. You can
So-
never do that in this game. It's like as soon as you walk out of that area, it resets.
Gotcha.
So would the game be better, in your opinion, if, let's say, you wander into, or it's sectioned off where there's 20 orcs here, there's 8 orcs here, there's 15 orcs there. You go into that section and you dominate all of them, region
That
like,
region on the
free.
map would turn blue instead of like
Right.
red dots or something like
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
And on the army screen, it says, okay, this is how many red orcs are remaining, and this is how many orcs you've recruited.
Kind of
Is
something like that.
like,
That's
because-
kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah.
It just
I think
could
I know
see
what
that.
you mean. And like when you would do the siege and like the camera's there and you see all those bright Lord blue orcs, I'm like, I didn't recruit that many at all. Like I just sort of like ran through this area. Like that kind of the juxtaposition or whatever, where it's like I in my mind I know I recruited like 40 orcs, and here I've got this huge army. It's like, where did it come from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that the game could be better if we had that, but I know what you mean. How it's sort of like these army grunts, they don't count, they don't matter.
Yeah. And they could have done it easily, like surrounding that captain on the map or something like that. They could have just said like that's that captain's camp.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
you see the one icon for the captain in the middle, and maybe like just a bunch of random dots representing his little force or something like that. So like if you capture him, it turns that force to your side. Because I mean, obviously they follow him just because. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
He's the one in the top, so if you kill the leader, they should be following you by that point. Something
Well,
like that.
maybe like if you kill the captain, they just disperse because they don't have a leader or they jump to
Like-
another camp.
like hive
but if
mind.
you like recruit him, then it recruits his force or something.
I got you.
Something along those lines. I
Yeah.
just and maybe that's being too picky on my part.
I think it's a
that'll
fair
be for the
criticism.
third game.
The fortress sieges. I'm curious to know how you guys did that, because for me,
Point A, B, C, and then attack the throne room.
right? No, I know that's pretty linear. But what I mean is,
Wow.
what I mean is, I never failed a siege because I was always way probably overkill. Like I would not have any variables. Like I would kill whatever.
All the warlords.
The warlords were dead. My siege level was like 200 plus, and they were like 90, and I would just barrel in. Like I never went like 150 and 160, or I never made it like a really like.
you always
this
wanted
is gonna
to
be
have
close.
the advantage.
The closest
Yeah.
I got was, I think, a 50-point variance.
Okay, yeah.
But I just couldn't get it done in the fucking throne room with that one dude. Like, he just kept
Oh, yeah.
fucking killing me. It was like one of the fucking... they're the savages. The ones that wield the two weapons.
Yeah.
In a large fucking group of orcs, when you can't... he was... you
They
couldn't
would
vault...
fuck you up.
You couldn't
couldn't
vault
vault.
him.
Yeah.
So the only way that you're supposed to kill him is by freezing him. So I'd go and hit fucking freeze, and then I would just get attacked by something else, and he had a fucking O-log in there.
Yeah.
with him at all times.
Criticize the throne room part. He's allowed to have minions, but you're not allowed to bring in your force.
You can. You have to summon them while you're in there.
Oh, I never did
That's
that.
how I
Well,
always
I
did
saw-
it. I would fucking go in and be like, cool, here's my Garg or whatever.
Ulag.
Well, yeah. No, I know
bodyguard?
that because you always have like your creature attachment and like your
Yeah.
bodyguard attachment. But I mean, you couldn't
Yeah.
bring in like the full force, and it's not like
Yeah.
he's not bringing his full force as well. But I felt like the odds were definitely tipped in their favor.
Of course. It's still a
I know.
game.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
Yeah,
like,
but no, I see what you're saying.
He always has a big advantage in that room because he's got like 8 guys that are always, or
but
8 or 9.
He's defending. He should have a big advantage.
But they like respawn and everything. Like
that's
They
the
do
thing that I
respawn
don't
like
like.
crazy.
It's like once they're dead and they're gone, that's just the way it should be. So if you finally whittle your way down through all the minions and peons, and then it's just like you and him, it should just stay you and him instead of like, oh, here's some new bitches that are trying to cut me from the back while I'm actually
That'd be
making
interesting.
some headway.
Yeah, to make it
yeah.
mono and mono at that point because
Yeah,
they're both the commanders.
Yeah.
The first time that I went in there, he had a fear of the O-logs, and I was like, cool, I got this. I fucking called one in, and immediately it was like adapted, and I'm like, okay, he's not terrified.
Oh, God.
Then he literally walked over to it and fucking executed it.
Jesus
dude,
Christ.
it was the most vicious goddamn like dude, it was like he was like a coding glitch. Like I just like couldn't fucking do anything to get around it. It was fucking nuts.
Lord.
He just had my number. Every time I went in there, he had my fucking number. It's like, oh, I'll try going in there with a bodyguard. He'd kill my bodyguard. I'll go in there with my fucking O-log and be like, boom, O-log bodyguard, O-log fucking sidekick, or O-log fucking rider or whatever. And just, he'd walk over, execute the fucking O-log, adapt to it. It was like,
I'm fucked.
Fuck me.
So at least, since you kind of touched on it, the fact that you could dominate and ride different creatures, I thought that was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Who rode a Drake?
That was really cool.
I didn't ride a Drake.
You didn't ride a Drake?
Except for
I
fighting
had to.
the Balrog.
There was one where I was able to down one, and just because I remember seeing it on like the little preview clip of him just like riding around it literally only one, and that's all I ever wanted was just to ride one. I'm fucking Daenerys goddamn Targaryen,
Daenerys.
breaker of chains, mother of
Shaker
dragons.
of brains.
Yeah.
So you know what's awesome? When you get there, you can make your skills in a way that you can shadow mount, which is literally you point the bow and mount something, but you can also break things that haven't been dominated. So you can it's like an add-on to that. So you can be like, oh, look at that Drake flying in the air, and I'm riding him. He can be full health. And you just be like,
my god.
I
That's pretty
actually
cool.
got to the leveling up point where I could summon my own Drake.
Yep, me too. Yeah, it was really fucking. The game is so good. So let's move into graphics.
Graphics.
I don't personally have a lot to say about the graphics.
They were pretty.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous looking game. It's very, very gory when it needs to be. And I think the varying designs on the actual captains, because I think they're the most ornate thing that you see is the captains.
There's so many
mostly.
of them.
Yeah, there's so many different variations of them as well.
Yeah.
I think their character designs are really cool. I think their aesthetic always fits what their personality is and things like that. And also the Balrog fucking fights are awesome.
Yeah.
Like just the look of the Balrog and just like it makes you actually feel like that is a god. What about you guys?
The style of the executions, like the actual in-depth detail of even when you would see captain versus captain and just the battles and the way they would take each other out. A lot of the facial features could have been a little more realistic, but for everything else they put in the game, I'm not going to fucking complain about that. I think it's fitting. It's not hyper realistic where it kind of takes me out of it a little bit. I mean, it's fantasy, it's lore, and I think it really fits into it. The one thing that really sticks out in my mind is towards the end of Act 1, when you just see that green fireball just coming out of the sky. Just that scenario right there is one of the scenes that sticks out, and it's gorgeous the way they put it together.
Yep.
You know, it's not the most pleasant sight seeing 30 guys covered in green flame screaming for their life, but at the same time, you look at it for just the graphics portion of it, very well done. Again, no complaints.
I honestly, I think this is the category I have the least amount to say on. I did like the different environments. To be honest, I think some areas maybe got a little redundant, but I mean, overall, it was all basically orc territory. So you didn't really get to see the full, beautiful Lord of the Rings environments. You know what I mean?
Except for Minas Mogul or whatever. The
yeah,
initial
which I thought was
human
actually
city.
that was my favorite place as well. I think
Okay.
out of all the maps. But you didn't get to like see like those really fancy elvish cities like under the waterfalls,
True, yeah.
stuff like that. It was all like the.
Rivendell.
So I mean, if you like the orc
Rivendell.
look, then you're gonna love this game because it's very heavy on the look of the
Very
orc.
heavy on the orcs.
Sort of going off what you're saying, the world map, I really liked having a 3D world map of Middle-earth because I've seen the maps multiple times. I even searched online to see a map of Middle-earth and blow it up and look at where's this, and I know the path of the Fellowship and when they break off and where Mordor is, and I almost didn't like that. Oh, there's Osgiliath, there's Minas Tirith, but you can't go there.
Oh yeah,
And
that
there's,
was just like a lore little piece.
Yeah, and there's a little picture of Talion jumping over some architecture, but you can't go there.
And then press square, lore. And it's like, oh, that's
Yeah.
all that is.
Oh,
Great.
I gotcha. That's fair. It's almost like a tease.
Yeah.
It is a little bit of a tease. I mean, it doesn't make any sense for him to go to
You
Minas
love
Tirith and look
teases,
around.
Harry.
I call that Harry tease, just the tip.
I do want to say that anything about the graphics that I could say negatively would probably be a nitpick. I have very few glitches. I really love the art style of the Lord of the Rings trilogy that was adapted for this. It doesn't really. It's not its own thing. It's clearly borrowing from that trilogy, and it should, in my opinion, it just makes sense. It looks right. There were a couple orc, I want to say, types that I saw again and again. There's the one orc who has really close eyes, a bald head. I can't really explain it, but I know I saw him 3 or 4. I saw 3 or 4 different orcs,
Sorry, Harry.
different captains.
What
But
the fuck are you saying about my eyes? I get the head.
not- no,
What
it's
the
not.
fuck?
No, your eyes aren't that close together. They're
it's
not.
got nothing to do with Harry.
You can wear goggles properly.
But obviously,
Well,
They're evenly spaced.
some of them seemed really inventive and
Harry, you're beautiful. Don't worry
all
about
over the place.
Fuck you.
I
Really
said
random.
you're beautiful. Take a compliment.
I thought you said beautiful orc eyes.
No,
Oh.
I said you're beautiful.
Sorry,
Don't
Ralph.
worry about it.
It's okay. I really don't have anything negative to say. It looks great. You guys killed it for the graphics section.
Yeah, killed.
All right, let's move on to music/sound.
Music sound.
Music.
So I have actually quite a. Do you mind if I lead off this one?
Lead away. We
'cause
are
I got-
Go
tangoing.
ahead.
2 little tiers I want to talk about real quick.
Two little tears.
Two little tears.
Is it the left and the right?
One from each eye.
So let's talk about the positive first.
All right.
The voice acting was fucking amazing.
Agreed.
And I can't say I've as far as the lines that come out of the orcs right before the battle and everything, I don't think I heard any duplicates whatsoever.
No.
In probably the 40 hours I put into this game.
That's a good point.
What about the legs? They don't need those. Just a mouthful.
Yeah, I can't say I've heard the same line more than once, which
There's that ranger.
it's pretty mind-boggling if you think about it that they took that much audio into the game so that you wouldn't hear a repeat in
Yeah.
at least a 40-hour span.
from the captains, yeah.
That's amazing.
First you poison, then finish the sword. You're still gonna die, but I respect that.
Yeah, and a lot of it was the dialogue was well done.
Yeah.
From the orcs to intro those battles, I thought it was phenomenal. Really gave these orcs character that they're not just there's orc number 17. You know what I mean?
You look forward to
They-
what they're going to say.
Exactly. And it's something they wouldn't skip through.
I loved my bards.
Yes.
So that was my positive. Now I have one I'll say slight positive, just not as good as the voice acting, but the sound that would come through your controller. You would hear the
Yes.
audio
the sword.
of the swords
Yeah.
clanging, or you would hear if they had a wooden shield, you hear the wooden creak coming out of your controller.
When they were peeing, you could hear them
Yes,
peeing
when you
out of your
yeah, I
controller.
actually meant to write that down too. When you're running past some orcs that are just peeing off in the woods or something like that,
What's
you
that?
hear the pissing trickle coming from your controller.
Yeah,
Piss, boy!
I have mine disabled.
Oh, do
sounds
you?
like
Yeah,
piss.
I don't like it. It's really.
That's what.
I keep
That's
it
why I don't hold it as
abrasive to
high
me.
as the.
Yeah.
Because it's not
Yeah.
as good of a speaker.
No, it's
it's-
an awful speaker.
Yeah,
actually.
it's low quality.
I keep it very, very low because at least if they're going to
Oh, mine's like
Put-
max. Like, it was fucking louder than my TV the one night. And, like, Leanne's trying to sleep down the hall, and all you hear is piss coming out of my fucking controller.
No, that was because you had a bottle and a half of wine and you thought the TV stand was a toilet.
So that's kind of like my positive neutral comment on it.
Yeah.
Now, my big gripe with it.
Okay,
Oh.
here we go.
Oh.
Come on.
The music score. When I think Lord of the Rings, I hold their music from the franchise in high regards.
Howard Shore is a fucking genius, and I didn't hear 2 notes from his soundtrack in this game.
This
at all.
soundtrack in this game was boring.
Yep.
Boring,
I completely
background
agree.
music, and especially coming off of how high of a standard I hold the Lord of the Rings music.
God damn it, Harry! You stole my entire speech.
This has been Harry's Music Minute.
Minute.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
It's Harry's
It's cool.
Music
I'm
Minute.
glad someone's getting it out of the way. It needed to be said. The music in this game is not that great.
No.
Which I was expecting more.
Yeah.
The sound
I
quality
really
great.
was.
Like,
The
where's
actual,
the-
like sound
where's the
effects and stuff are
fanfare?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like where's that fanfare of dan da da dan da da dan? You know what I mean? Like
That's the Fellowship theme, right?
Well,
so
I'm just saying.
I know. I really do. I really believe me. I really do.
They're taking the
I was thinking, God, the hobbits.
Potatoes, boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. Boil 'em, mash 'em, boil 'em, boil 'em, mash 'em. No. Okay.
even
No.
like the music from The Hobbit, which I know you guys don't hold as in high regard as Lord of the Rings, but like the whole was it Misty Mountain song they
That
do?
song's good.
That,
I
that's a
like.
really good song.
That I do like.
So
by
I
Led Zeppelin.
I just
Holds up
the
as a Led
music I
Zeppelin.
was disgusted with.
You know
in
what's
this game.
funny? It doesn't even fit like in terms of like genre because my mom and sister are fans of Outlander. I don't know if you guys have heard of that show at all. I think it's on Stars. It's about
My
time
mom's
travel.
into it.
Your mom likes it? Okay. So that kind of has the song is like sing me a song la la la. It's whatever. It's like it's a Scottish like folk song or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So they were watching Outlander and I had like started the game and like went to the bathroom or whatever and I could hear from my speakers the music for the game. And I was like, that kind of sounds like Outlander. She was like, oh, yeah, it does. Like, the title screen for Shadow of Mordor sounds like Outlander, the TV show. Like, that doesn't make sense. That
It doesn't
shouldn't.
have an identity.
It
It
doesn't.
doesn't identify as Lord of the Rings music.
No. And obviously, I'm not a composer. I don't know how hard it is to make original music and try to fit it
I
in
would
a
assume
universe
very
like that.
hard.
Yes. But, unfortunately, I completely agree with everything Harry has said. The end.
Let's move into final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
So like I was saying at the beginning, I think there are some really big highs and some really big lows in this game. So I mean, just going down the checklist real quick. Start with the highs. The gameplay, I think, is where it's at with this game, and the voice acting, I think, are like two of the bullet points I think I'd hold in the highest regards in this game. But then on the flip side, you get your music score and the storyline of this game. I think are extremely poor. So like I said, they're not even like okay to bring up the average. It's just like they're really bad. It's a big gray area. I don't know. I'm very polar opposite on some of the details of this game.
Are you feeling like Gandalf the Grey about this?
Yeah.
Just kind of in the middle.
A little
You
bit.
Don't know where to be.
Captain Punny?
All right, Steve, what do you got? Final thoughts.
I just have puns. That's all I have.
secret?
All right, Ralph, then,
No.
what do you got?
Fuck you. I'm gonna go along with Harry, where it's kind of bittersweet. The sweet part is that the gameplay is awesome. Graphics, there's really not left that more that you really want out of it, but the music, you really don't have much. And I think the most disappointing quality was the story out of all of it. It's like I could forgive some of the music, some score here and there, but I mean, you're going off of a huge franchise, so you need to have that story there. But that goddamn gameplay is so good. I feel conflicted. I'm happy that this was brought to the table and I got to play it. I will be playing more because this is something I want to complete. But overall, I mean, the score is going to show. Mr. Ralph?
I really enjoyed my time with Shadow of War. I think that missing Shadow of Mordor was a shame. I think I've said that before when I play sequels of games and in hindsight.
Mhm.
I think that I missed an opportunity for that, and going back would probably just be redundant now. I think the story does meander. Like, it doesn't have a clear focus, and you don't know what to do, and you can sort of get lost. But Act 2, I mean, there was some real fun to be had there, and take your time with it. Don't rush it. Do it at your own pace and enjoy it, and you'll really see the finer points of the game that are a lot of fun. So while I'll have to agree, not to condone groupthink here, it is kind of a mixed bag, but I really feel that the positives outweigh the negatives and you can get past them. Clark.
I agree with you, Ralph, actually, that I think the positives
Wait,
of
you
this
agree with
game... Yeah, I think the positives of this game outweigh the negatives for sure. The story is not great. I think of the 5 main story segments, 2 of them are even remotely memorable. The one is interesting, but it's mostly a vessel to get you to the end of the game, essentially. No pun intended, because that's literally what he tells Talion he is at the end.
You're just a vessel.
You're just a vessel. And I really, honestly, I think this is one of those games, for me personally, where the gameplay and the fact that it opens up so you can just kind of repeat the gameplay and stuff, it outweighs almost every other category to me, because that gameplay generates my own personal stories with the game, and that's what's important to me. This game is a big success to me.
They know why people are here. They know why they came for this game.
Right.
And then at the end game, they like, here's more.
Yep. They're
Here,
like,
play it
here's
till
the
you're done.
endless. Here's essentially the endless loop. That
And
if-
I'll have to commend them for that. You know, because
Yeah.
a lot of games, it's over and then that's it. All you can do is replay the last boss again.
Right.
So,
All right, let's move into the final score here.
The skull.
The score.
The score.
Ralph, what do you got?
Let's settle the score.
Ah.
I'm going to give it a 75%.
Steve-O.
I'm going to. I wish there was something in between a B and a B plus. So I'm going to give it a B plus minus. Yeah.
a B check.
You are
Sure,
a bad
that'd be-
teacher, sir.
Welcome to the school, miss.
Doesn't that just give it a B?
Yeah, right?
Positive and negative cancel each other out?
Would you not?
Are we back at hepatitis?
B plus plus minus.
So it's a
That's
B
still
plus.
B
So it's a B plus.
A B with a diagonal slash.
So it's B divided by what?
B divided by
Another B.
B.
BB. BDB. Badibib.
It's BB8.
Badoop. Okay, yeah, it's somewhere in between a B and a B plus. Go figure out how to put that on the fucking graph. It's like an 87.
It's a B and a vertical. It's not the full plus. It's just the vertical
yeah,
line.
no, I dig that. There we go. B1.
B1 with your score.
So I'm going to give this a 6.5, and this is going to tie with Devil May Cry.
Wow. Wow.
Whoa.
But Devil May Cry had a
Wow.
biplane
Wow.
shooting a machine gun
I
and
don't
leaving
care.
a castle. Okay.
I don't know. This story was that bad that it brought down the value
Wow,
of this.
But
That-
I want to know
really-
if Idril and Baranor's forbidden love.
I
blew.
know. Oh my god. No, we can't bring this up. That was very fucking weird. That was so weird. Time to take you home. It's like
She's like, give me my hand.
your hands are on her waist a little too long, and isn't she like 15? Maybe.
Her age is to be determined later.
All right, I don't know, but I still feel like he should be on a list right now. Just saying. Clark, score.
I'm gonna go one forbidden love out of the apparent general consensus.
It's pretty much happens. And in that scene, his hands looked huge.
I didn't know.
Is that too on the nose? Because I enjoyed the game a lot more than you guys did.
I don't know.
Whatever. Fuck it. I'm doing something new for season 2.
Better stick with it. You set your
Stay
standard.
tuned, motherfuckers.
All right.
Shadow of Super Fun Game Review Podcast go.
All right. So that's gonna wrap up the review of Shadow of War. Harry, what do you got?
we got some iTunes reviews to read through.
All right.
Oh.
Let's do it.
Great.
Oh, wait.
do we
Read
got?
one of them in a Cockney
So
accent.
excited to do this
Read-
at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Read one like an orc.
Oh, no. You can read one like an
No,
orc.
you
Let me do
read
it
one
all.
like
Just
an orc.
read one. How did that?
All right.
Just read one.
All right, so this first one, it's funny and informative. This is from AWH5017. Andrew WK, but he misspelled his last name.
Wait.
So he said, enjoy listening to these guys, and they're vegan friendly too. So this next one
Go on then.
is titled Review ?
Review?
And this is submitted by Orion215. I've been listening since day one, playing a little catch up right now, but hey, life. Y'all make me laugh every show. Keep up the good work.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan.
It's Orion.
Orion.
Orion. Thank you, Orion.
Now, is there an apostrophe between the O and Ryan? Or is it just Orion, like a belt?
That Ryan.
Oh, Ryan.
Oh, Ryan.
Do you want to do your
kindly-
org for the last one, Mal?
I don't know. Do I?
No, make him be a little cockney with it.
I was trying to do a little.
If not, give me
Bioshock
a
in
goddamn
there.
shiny box handphone.
There you go.
Yeah, give me that.
Or
What's that down
what's
there?
this? Is this a phone?
It says, this is like, these guys are something else. From Maggot Killer 666. This show is pretty funny. And plus they talk about details in games I never even realized. They cover a wide range, but the old school game reviews are my favorite. Thank you, Maggot Killer 666.
I think your accent's a little
Oi.
questionable there,
Oi!
Ringo.
Doesn't matter
Oi,
what you
oi.
want. This is what it is.
Go
If
play
you
the
have a
drums,
question,
Ringo.
how about I go ahead and cut off your
All
testes?
right, do we have anything else?
Ringo isn't even the best drummer in the
No,
business.
I think we should just announce our next game, and then we can mosey on out for the evening.
We're gonna
All right.
mosey.
Our next game is Silent Hill 2.
Ooh. Our first sequel that we're doing on the podcast.
I'm
Oh,
looking
man.
for my PlayStation 2. Have you seen her?
Have you seen her? Her name is Sony.
I think she's 12.
Oh, well, I will not say my follow-up line for that. That would be way too
No, wait, what's the line? She's like,
I'm
I
not
think
gonna.
she's 7.
I'm not gonna lie. Playing the opening scenes of this game, one of the first lines he says to anybody, he's like, "I'm looking for my wife."
Oh, that's right.
my
For his wife.
She's 12. Whoa.
Oh.
Cool. So I think we're gonna wrap it up there.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys.
Thank
We'll
you.
catch you next week.
Catch you on the flip side.
Cue the air raid siren.
Love you.
Right.
Game over. Game over. Game over. Game over. Game over.
Thanks for listening to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Stay up to date on our Facebook at facebook.com/superfunpodcast.